Hello beautiful, welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my mid-month wrap-up. So I'm going to be talking about some of the books I've read already in the month of August, and I think I've finished about 7 or 8 books so far, with more on the horizon. If you're new to this channel, hello, my name is Natasha. I do videos on books and anything else I want to do a video about, so be sure you are subscribed so you never miss a video. Click the little like button if you like me, if you want to see more, and if you are into the notification bell, we have that as well. I have been really sick the past week, so I was able to read some books that I normally probably wouldn't have gravitated to because I just wanted some nice fluffy stuff. But we're going to start at the beginning of the month and go with what I read first. The first book that I finished this month was The Japanese Lover by Isabel Allende. I did this as an audiobook. I think I would have enjoyed this book more if I read it as opposed to listening to it, because the audiobook narrator was fine, but the audio for this book was a little off. It was a little, had a lot of noise to it, and also the mixing was off. So sometimes the voice would be loud, sometimes it would be low. It was just off. But this book is, if I went into everything about this book, I would just spoil the whole thing. So this is where I'm going to tell you the basic setup. We have a woman who came over from Poland right before everything hit in World War II. She's a Jewish woman. She came to California to stay with family. And so she has her cousin, who is like a brother to her, really. And then there's 2 older siblings that are married off quite quickly, right when she moves into California. They have a Japanese kid that is the son of the gardener there, so they all kind of grow up together. Fast forward many years when this particular lady is in an assisted living home, and then we have someone who has immigrated from an Eastern European country, and she works at this assisted living home, and they become friends, and then she also starts to work for her as a secretary and things like that. And through this we get kind of the life story of this older lady, plus there's a lot going on in the present that has to deal with some things. So if I were someone who cried and all of that at books and movies and stuff, I have a feeling this book would have wrecked me because there's so much in it. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface of the surface with this book. Isabel Allende is an amazing storyteller, and she comes up with some really cool things, but then also she has historical stuff mixed in there, and I really love this book. Again, I think I would have loved it more had I read it, but I highly recommend it. Good time. Well, not really a good time, but sometimes a good time and sometimes a heart-wrenching time. Anyway, the next book I have is The Arrest by Jonathan Lethem, I think. This is one where I was just walking around the library and this was just sitting there on a stand, and I was like, huh, this looks interesting. I read the synopsis and I was hooked. I was like, sure, that's a good time. This book is not going to be for everyone. It is a speculative fiction, sci-fi type thing. Dystopian, I think, is the word that you'd want to use with it, even though it's a little, it's not like Hunger Games type dystopian. It's totally different. So what has happened is an event that they call The Arrest has happened, and it's kind of like a EMP has hit the world or whatever, and all the electrical things stop, but also things that aren't electric but are mechanical stop. So eventually cars stop working, and then guns even stopped working, and things like that. So just it's become a very agrarian society. So the people, it's kind of funny, like these people that are living in this town, I believe it's in Maine, where it was very hippie, kind of agrarian before everything hit, people trying to live off the land and stuff. They actually were the ones that survived. And we have our main character who is, he was a Hollywood writer. Like he rewrote other people's things. Like if he wrote a movie, they would have him look into it and write it again and fix it up and all that jazz. So there's him. And then his sister is one of the hippies, and he was visiting her when the arrest happened, so he's there with her. And then it takes about 55 pages for the hook to get you in this book, but I enjoyed it. The writing is pretentious at times. There's a lot of cutting off the sentence, like where the sentence should have like a comma or just continue being a sentence. It stops and he finishes the sentence as its own sentence. And then he starts and ends a lot of sentences with prepositions, which I despise. But this book was kind of pretentious. At times it was just kind of happening. And for some reason I enjoyed this so much. Gave it 4 stars because I enjoyed the read so much. So this little like thing here you see. So his friend was like a Hollywood producer or what have you. And he was in California, and he built this thing which is basically built off an atomic bomb, and it had power. So he drove it from California to Maine, and all this stuff ensues. So it's a very interesting kind of book where you're just flowing along. You don't really know what's going on. You're not quite sure of the point, but whatever. I enjoyed it. Again, speculative fiction. Interesting. I don't know what else to say about it. I enjoyed it. If you like weird things, weird sci-fi or what have you, then you might like that too. So give it a try. The next one was, okay, guys, I tried so hard to like this book, but I don't know. My Brilliant Friend by Elana Ferrante. This is translated from Italian to English. I forgot to tell you the Japanese Lover is translated from Spanish to English. But My Brilliant Friend is going all over YouTube right now. Everybody's loving it. They're wanting more. I don't get it. Towards the end of the book, something happens and I'm like, oh, now I want to pick up the second book just to see if it actually will be interesting and we will get some more things happening. But here's the deal. This is following like two younger girls from the time they are like small, very small, up till they're 16. And I believe the next books carry on from there. And it's in Naples, Italy, and basically you're just going through their day-to-day lives, the day-to-day lives of the people there. It is a rough neighborhood, and it's just life, and it was boring to me, and I just didn't enjoy it until towards the end. And like there's a thing that happens at a wedding, and I'm like, oh, now I need to know what happens from here. Like, is this going somewhere now? Also, they're supposed to be like 2 best friends and everything. That I don't know. They just seem like very unbalanced friends. Like one is kind of mean, and one is like trying to make this one always like her. I don't get it. The writing was great. However, I do believe a lot of stuff was lost in translation. And even as you're listening to the audiobook, apparently there's different types of Italian. There's like, what's the word? Proper Italian or whatever. She called it something. And then there's like a dialect type of Italian and things like that, depending on like where they are living. And it just, I don't think a lot of the things translated to English exactly well, so I think that there was a disconnect there for me. I don't know. But I am looking forward to maybe giving the second one a shot, at least trying it. If I don't enjoy it, I will stop reading it. But I feel like if the whole first book was just set up for what's happening next, I'm like, that's a waste. But and the other thing is, this is an Italian book, and it's happening in Italy, but the narrator has no Italian accent. It didn't dawn on me till I read some reviews about that, and I was like, oh yeah, well, you know, she sounded like me. So the narrator made it a bit better. Like, honestly, if that narrator was not there, I would not have made it through that book. She made the book better. But anyway, if you've read this book, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. I tried to like it. I tried to give it the benefit of doubt. I did finish it, so doing my best. Okay, so the next book that I finished was this one. I love Ruth Ware. And there's something about her books where I like them, but there's always just a certain something missing. I think her best work for me has been, I did like The Death of Miss Westaway, but The Turn of the Key. I liked that one, and The Woman in Cabin 10. All of those really good. This I was so stoked for. I was so excited for, and it was such a disappointment. It didn't get good until like the very, very end. A lot of the stuff was predictable. You could almost like see it's like trying to turn you a certain way so you don't look this way, kind of a thing. And I was just disappointed in it. I feel like I hate read this most of the way through. But I was trying so hard, just waiting to see if something happened. And like I said, the very end of the book is good. But a book this size, I don't want to have to read mediocre work to get to the good part. There's been some other books that I've read that way, and I don't enjoy that. I was disappointed in this. I gave it 2 stars. I probably would have given it 3, but it's Ruth Ware, and I feel like it should have been better. So there's that. I'm very sorry if you loved this book. I didn't even just like enjoy the read. Okay, so this is what happens. I'm just like bashing the book, but not really telling you. We have a 2 timelines. So the past timeline are there's these 2 girls. They are roommates in school, and then there's like a friend group around them. And then in the future, we know that one of the girls is dead. We know which one it is. But the person who went to jail for killing her has died. And that just brings up all kinds of memories and things 10 years later to our main character, who is Hannah, right? Hannah? And so April is the girl who was murdered, and Hannah is the one who, her testimony and all that stuff put this other guy behind bars. And so she's thinking, you know, did I put an innocent man behind bars? And she just starts sleuthing around, and she's very pregnant at this time, so she's putting herself in unnecessary danger while she's pregnant. And yeah, things are like, she winds up marrying Will, who was April, the girl who was murdered, her boyfriend at the time, but she's married to him, and just all kinds of things happen. April was not a nice girl. She was the it girl. She was like very popular, but she was very mean, and she played horrible practical jokes on people. And she got away with a lot of things that she shouldn't have, because she had a lot of money and she could pay you off, all of these things. And Hannah just talks about how she was such a good friend to April. They were best friends. And again, this is where it's a very unbalanced friendship. I'm like, why would you even think she was your best friend? You couldn't tell that she wasn't. And here's the thing. this is supposed to be, Hannah is supposed to be a girl who, with no money, not coming from a prestigious school, all of these things, she makes it into Oxford on her own merits. So she's supposed to be a very smart girl. And again, this dumbs down our protagonist so that we can make the plot work. And I don't like that. So, anyway, now moving on to sick week. I got sick, and while I was sick, I had been reading a couple of other things, and one of them was very like a cerebral type of sci-fi, and I was like, I can't do this because I can't think straight yet. So I wanted some nice cozy like mysteries, things like that. So I picked up these two. First one is Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manasala. And then the second one is Homicide and Halo Halo. The mystery in these was better than the Ruth Ware book. The mysteries in these were impressive. I don't normally expect much from these like cozy mystery type books. Chick lit is what I kind of feel like they are. But these were actually pretty in depth of some things. Not only was the mystery good, and it wasn't one of those things where you immediately know who the killer is. Like towards the end you could start to speculate, oh, what if, but you really have to get to that point. There's also a lot of cool stuff about Filipino food and restaurant and the family dynamic and stuff like this. And even though it is a close family, there are issues. So it was a lot more realistic than some of your like Hallmark movie type, you know, books. So I really did enjoy this. So our main character is, what is her name? I just dropped something. Leela. Leela is, she even makes fun of herself in the beginning of the book. She's like, my life's kind of like a rom-com. I grew up in a small town. I go to a big city. Everything fails, and then I have to come back. And she's working in her aunt and grandmother's, Tita Rosie, yeah, her Aunt Rosie's kitchen. So the restaurant there, and her ex-boyfriend from many years ago dies while in there. He's poisoned somehow, and they blame her in all of that. The second book is a little different. It's a little bit darker even, because she even says in the beginning of the book that, hey, I wrote this during lockdown. I was in a rough place, so my character's in a rough place. We're getting through this together, kind of a thing. But they're so well written, and there's so much to it, and so many relationship dynamics between friends and family and all of that. And I think these were just really well done. So if you have not picked these up, I'll pick the other one up. There we go. So if you haven't picked up the Homicide and Halo Halo, Arsenic and Adobo is the first one, then give it a shot. Even though, like I said, they're kind of cozy mysteries and things like that. They're just really good, and I cannot wait for the third one to come out, I believe, later this year. Okay, one more book. The last book I'm going to talk about, you're going to be shocked because I don't read romance. I just don't. Not my jam. But I read one, Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I actually bought this one at the Target because I'm like number 400 or something on like the list at the library. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this during summer, and summer's pushing its way out. But this book was pretty decent. It took me a hot minute to get into it. We have our main character, Persephone, and she lives in Toronto, so she lives in a city, and then her family buys a cottage that they spend the summers and some holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas in at this like lakeside town. And next door are two boys and their mom, and she befriends the boys, and one of them becomes like her best friend. And we go through the different summers and the different holidays and things that they spend together and how their friendship grows. They meet when they're 13 and then something happens when they're 18 and they go 12 years without speaking to each other. At that time, the mother of the two boys passes away, and then she comes back to the area so that she can, you know, pay her respects and all of that. This book, I don't know how to put it. I enjoyed it, but like I said, it took me a hot minute for me to get into it and to care. But you know, it's a romance novel. Everybody's gonna live happily ever after. But getting to that point, yeah. So what we're doing is you're going through the weekend of her being back in town, and then you're being taken back, you know, year by year, those summers that she spent with them and how their relationship grew from like best friends to more and all of that. And it took me a while to care about the weekend, like them getting together again and whatever. It took me a while to get there. So it was a book, you know. If you like romances and things like that, it's not too smutty. Like, I don't like smutty romances at all. I don't. So if you want something that is kind of got feeling to it. Also, oh, here's the thing. What I really liked about this book, what I really liked about this book is very atmospheric. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was at the lakeside town. I felt like I was sitting on the dock. You know, she talks about swimming and all of this stuff, the sunshine, the freckles, the everything that comes. And I really enjoyed that. There was also a time where they were eating ice cream and I was sitting on the front porch reading, and Ryan was reading as well, and I was like, you know what? I want some ice cream. So put the book down, and there's like a ice cream place like walking distance from our home. So we went and got there. I was like, I just want, and I never get it in a cone. I was like, put it in a cone because that was in my head, and I was like, this is a good time. So it was very atmospheric, very summery. So if you're looking for something like that, this would be a good book to try. Yeah, so that is my mid-month wrap-up. I'm feeling very stuffy now. I've got to get myself together and go to work, and my phone is ringing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and hope you have had a good mid-month so far of reading. Let me know what you've been reading in the comments below, and let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts on them were. And I will see you again very soon right here on Nat's Beautiful Life. Have a great day, gorgeous.